With quiet strength, they glide effortlessly through the seas. Ancient leviathans in a vast liquid world. We follow in our clumsy crafts of wood and iron, trapped as we are on the surface of the sea. Today, we mostly hunt them with cameras and recorders. Fascinated by their grace and power, curious about their foreign ways, and looking always for the similarities between us. For to swim by their side, to hear their songs, to look deep into their eyes and sense the intelligence looking back, is to understand the significance of the whale in our world and the importance of the effort to preserve its place. But this was not always so. We hunted them ruthlessly for centuries, bringing some populations so close to extinction that they now require protection from us. The health of whales is a measure of the health of their ocean habitat. In their bodies is stored a record of the substances which are exchanged between the atmosphere and the oceans. Even without large-scale hunting, are we destroying through our carelessness some of the grandest animals on Earth? Though they live their whole lives in water, whales are not fish. Like humans, they are mammals. They have hair. They breathe air, pumping it in and out of lungs, and, like all mammals, they nurse their young. Whales come in a wide variety. They may be as small as a dolphin, or as huge as the blue whale, the largest animal that ever lived on Earth. Most live in oceans and feed in the polar seas, while others have adapted to the warm, fresh waters of forest rivers. Sperm whales can dive beyond the depths where submarines cruise, staying down for as long as 2 hours. The moans of blue whales are the loudest sounds made by an animal and can be heard across the oceans. Humpbacks sing complex songs and make one of the longest migrations known of any mammal. One population of humpbacks travels from the Antarctic seas north across the equator. All whales, including dolphins and porpoises, belong to the order Cetacea, of which there are about 70 species. This large order divides naturally into 2 suborders, the odontocetes, or toothed whales, and the mysticetes, or baleen whales. Most whales are odontocetes. Though the largest, the sperm whale, can be as long as 17 meters, toothed whales tend to be small compared to baleen whales. Odontocetes include the roughly 30 species of dolphins, porpoises, and beaked whales. Most inhabit temperate waters, living highly social lives. We know they have well-developed brains, but we still don't know how they use them. Toothed whales hunt alone or in packs, combing the waters throughout the year for their prey, usually fish or squid. They catch one victim at a time, often shaking it or beating it against the surface of the water so violently that it breaks into pieces that can be swallowed without chewing. Killer whales have been known to kill animals larger than themselves, even other whales. But despite popular belief, they are not a threat to human swimmers and boaters. Mysticetes, or baleen whales, have no teeth. Instead, they have enormous combs of fingernail-like material hanging from their upper jaws. They use this baleen for straining the water from their prey, millions of tiny organisms. Some baleen whales feed side by side. Each whale can then catch the tiny prey that darts sideways to avoid another whale's mouth. To get the most from this strategy, several whales may cooperate, all lunging at a school of prey together. But most remarkably, baleen whales can endure months of starvation. This enables them to take advantage of food sources scattered over vast areas of the oceans, leading them on long migrations. Gray whales are among the bottom feeders. They gouge pits in the ocean floor until their mouths are full of mud and water. Then they push the mud and sand out through the baleen, feasting on the burrowing and bottom-dwelling creatures that remain behind. Some baleen whales, such as this right whale, are skimmers. They swim at the surface with their cavernous mouths wide open. As the water flows in the front and out through the slats of baleen at the sides, these hairy, comb-like plates strain out millions of tiny plankton, which the whale then licks off with its tongue and swallows. Most baleen whales are like humpbacks or this blue whale. They are gulping whales called rorquals. They have enormous pleated ventral pouches which can expand to accommodate many tons of water. They feed by rushing forward, gulping in whole schools of small fish or shrimp-like animals called krill. Then they close their mouths, collapsing the pouch and forcing the water out through the baleen. Fish and krill left behind are then swallowed. When a blue whale fills its ventral pouch, it can make the rest of a body, even this huge, seem small. Humpback whales are tool users. They make bubble nets around schools of fish or krill by swimming in a circle beneath them, releasing bursts of air. With this cylindrical net of air completed, the whales rise from below, concentrating fish against the surface, where they engulf this food in a single gulp. Several humpbacks cooperate to make these bubble nets. Then they hunt as a team. On each charge, the same individuals surface next to each other in the same positions. Communal bubble netting is just one of the many examples of social behavior among baleen whales. During breeding season, male right whales form groups which move among females, mating with them. These patterns of behavior seem unusual for mysticetes, which have a reputation of not working together in social groups. However, that may be misleading. When we see a group of animals close together, we call it a herd. But a herd of baleen whales almost always stretches farther than the eye can see, most likely held together not by sight, but through sound. If we spell the word H-E-A-R-D, we may come closer to what a baleen whale perceives as its herd. On the other hand, most odontocetes appear to be very social. They live in large pods of 10 or more individuals that may stay together for generations. Where did these amazing animals come from? Scientists think that the ancestors of today's whales were furry land animals, probably about the size of a big dog. Fossil evidence suggests that about 50 million years ago, they waded into the sea in search of a more abundant food supply. Over millennia, they adapted so well to the marine environment that they became permanent residents. Their many adaptations to the water enabled whales to become extraordinary swimmers, some capable of exceeding speeds of more than 50 kilometers per hour. Whales' streamlined shape, their smooth, almost hairless skin, and their lack of external body parts all contribute to this ability. Their front limbs flattened and became paddle-like flippers used for cooling and steering underwater. Their hind legs eventually disappeared. although some whale skeletons show tiny remains of hip bones. Over millions of years, their nostrils moved from the front of the head to the top, so the whales could breathe without having to lift so much of their heavy heads into the air. Unlike fish, which move their tails from side to side, whales swim with an up and down motion of their tail. Powerful muscles running down the back are attached to the tail and propel the whale through the water in long, fluid sweeps. The tail broadens into two flat surfaces called flukes, which contain no muscle. Fish breathe with gills and are able to live entirely underwater, but whales are mammals with lungs and must come to the surface to breathe, exhaling through their blowhole. Blowholes vary by suborder. Odontocetes have a single blowhole, while mysticetes have a blowhole with a double opening. A whale usually stays at the surface only a few seconds. After taking several breaths, it will sound, diving head first and rolling its back. Often the tail is lifted, so its weight, unsupported by the water, will drive the whale downward. Depending on the species, whales dive to varying depths in pursuit of food. Sperm whales, for example, may dive deeper than 2 kilometers to find their prey, while other whales spend much of their lives in shallow waters. When whales feed in murky waters, or at night, or at depths too great for light to penetrate, they cannot see their prey. Under such conditions, they must depend on their acute hearing. Every species of whale ever studied makes some kind of sound. These sounds range from the clicks and whistles of toothed whales to the moans, cries, growls, and in some cases, even the elaborate songs of baleen whales. Since sound travels faster and farther in water than air, sound is the whale's best bet for finding its way around the oceans. Toothed whales make clicks and listen for returning echoes to locate food and avoid obstacles they cannot see. Blue and fin whales can make sounds that travel for thousands of kilometers, though we do not know exactly how they use them. To fully understand the whale, we must immerse ourselves in the environment of whales. We must flourish in the icy depths of the ocean, as they do. We must travel great distances underwater, sometimes spanning the globe in a single season. We must live as the whales live. For land-based humans, this challenge has proved so difficult that our knowledge of whales remains limited. But the determination of scientists and enthusiasts, coupled with an uneasy sense of urgency, has produced many insights in the last few years. As we continue our research, we look forward to the day when humans can swim side by side with whales, not as hunter and prey or scientist and specimen, but as two intelligent species, as equals, as friends.